things about doing 31 Days of Horror-Ween each and every year is, to be fair, you go through a lot of crap. I mean, there's a lot of mediocre you have to sift through. And, you know, for the formula, there are some movies that I've seen before, like a million times that I rewatch. Some movies I haven't seen in like 10 years. And then some films that I've never seen before, just kind of see what all the buzz is about. And every now and then you catch a movie that you've never seen before, and it just blows you away. You're like, man, this is like an all-time classic. How did I miss it for so many years? And thankfully, doing this countdown this year, I got a great movie. As far as the countdown is concerned, we're now in smack dab middle of the 1950s. For me, it's either the 1950s or the 1970s are the two best decades overall for all genres of movie. And this one is great. This one is automatically like one of my all-time favorite movies after just watching it once. Fantastic movie from 1955. It is Charles Lofton's The Night of the Hunter. And for those of you who've never seen the movie, trust me, you felt its influence, because the impact of this movie is visible on everything. It was an influence on Halloween. It was an influence on Do the Right Thing. It was an influence on Home Alone. It's inspired just so many filmmakers and directors and actors and movies that are not even like in the horror genre. It's had that much of an impact. And watching this movie, you know, it reminds you just how great filmmaking can be when you're forced to work on a good plot. Because, you know, 1955, this movie couldn't show gore, couldn't show nudity. I mean, you couldn't have guys having their heads cut off. You really couldn't even show, like, people cursing. You know, so you didn't have anything to shock the audience, nothing that would, like, visually unnerve you like that. So, basically, you have to rely on plot. You got to have a good story with good characterizations and good framing and great pacing. And this movie is utterly fantastic in every category. And the thing that drives this movie, Robert Mitchum. Great actor, but after watching this, I'm convinced he's like one of the best actors ever. This is an absolutely just towering performance. And it's one of the best villainous roles I've ever seen in any movie, freaking ever. And what makes it work is the guy is so, it's weird because you kind of realize the character like knows he's a con artist, like he knows he's like full of crap and he's just exploiting people. But he plays it in such a manner where it's almost like he's convinced himself that, even though he's like subconsciously aware that he's a, you know, scumbag and a con artist and a crook and like a murderer, somehow he's convinced himself that he's actually doing the right thing by doing all these things. And it's just such an incredibly nuanced performance where it's like he's playing like 3 different characters simultaneously. And it's like, I've never seen anything like it before. This dude just has such incredible range. And it's such a memorable performance because it's so forward. Like, you know, forget Hannibal Lecter, forget, you know, whatever great villainous role you think of, forget Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight. I mean, you want to see a great villainous performance that's understated, watch this movie. There's nothing over the top. He's not trying to play evil. He's just playing just such a multi-dimensional ball of conceit. And I've never seen any actor pull something like this off where the character is just so complicated but so superficial at the same time. It's just really a remarkable performance and reason I have to see the movie. But the rest of the movie, pretty damn great too. Real simple plot. You have some kids, their dad's a crook, he goes out there and he steals some money and gets shot by Johnny Law. And he's on trial, he's going to get the electric chair for murder. And while he's waiting his execution, this is back in the day when, like, you killed somebody, they kill you, like, 3 days later. There's no, you know, no appeal, no habeas corpus, none of that stuff. You commit a crime, we shoot you the next day. And it's kind of weird because I don't really know what time frame it's set in. Like, I know it was made in 1955, but I can't tell if it's actually supposed to be set during 1955. It could be like the 1930s. 1940s, the early I mean, it could be any, you know, time frame from before 1950. They do have the car, so I guess it probably is diegetically in 1955. Well, anyway, that's just me rambling. So anyway, you know, the dad, he's about to get executed, and he's stuck in a cell now before he's about to get the lethal injection, and he tells Robert Mitchum character about 10,000 that he hid, and he gets out of jail the next day. He murders hookers. Like, it's a weird thing. Robert Mitchum is like a real like scumbag, low-life character, and eventually he catches wind of the hidden $10,000. So what he does is he goes to the executed guy's family and like seduces his wife, like convinces like their parents that he's like a preacher man and he's really really great, and he convinces her that she's like responsible for her husband's murder because she like dresses like a skank, and he starts like this like really weird aggressive evangelical movement in town. It's a really really like layered movie, a lot of stuff going on, but it's not a cluster schmoz. Everything makes sense. Every scene and almost every line of dialogue kind of plays together. So it's certainly, moving towards something. It's not a film where you just have a bunch of stuff going on and then it's a big, implosion Donnybrook at the end. I mean, everything is compartmentalized, but everything is still holistic. You don't get that in modern movies, and that's why I love going back and watching these old flicks from the 1950s. So anyway, basically he basically takes over the family, and basically it's all a big ruse so he can find out where the $10,000 is. And eventually, he finds out, where the kids are hiding it. And the kids, are on the lam. And this is basically like a proto-slasher movie at this point because, every movie, Friday the 13th, Maniac, everything since has at least consciously or unconsciously ripped off this movie. But here's the thing. Most movies, that'd be the conclusion. No, it's like halfway through the movie, and the kids escape, and they end up running off to a orphanage that's run by Lillian Gish. Not Gish. Gish. No, wait, it is Gish, yeah, because it's the name of the Smashing Pumpkins album. Lillian Gish, from the D.W. Griffin movie. She was in Birth of a Nation. She plays like an old woman who runs an orphanage, and she takes the kids in. And of course, it isn't long before Robert Mitchum shows up, try to get his money, and going completely against grain. I don't know if I should give it away, but it's so grim. I'm guessing it's like a 60-year-old movie, 70-year-old movie event coming up in a couple of years. So I guess it's okay if I give away the big ending here. You think it's gonna be like a chase through the house because you're conditioned to think that after watching horror movies for the last 23 years of your life. You think it's going to be like Halloween, where there's like broken glass everywhere and people getting shot. No. What happens? The guy just strolls up on a horse and he's like, I want the money. And then she pulls out a gun and says, I'm going to hold this on to you all night till the cops get here. And she does it. And that's literally the ending. It's just like her holding a gun and staying up there all night protecting the kids, and him just sitting there on his horse going, I'll be here all night. And they start singing like this one song together, just really like eerie and weird and fitting and so philosophical. I mean, I could do like an entire video about the subtext of this movie, but it's another day. And of course, he gets arrested, and it's just a fantastic movie from start to finish. Damn, it's good. I mean, this is really, really good. This is one of the best movies of the 1950s for sure, regardless of genre. And if you haven't seen it, you need to see this movie. It is fantastic. I have no problem going ahead and giving this one my full 4 tofu dog out of 4 rating. Absolutely required viewing whether it's Halloween or not. So yeah, wow, what a great movie. So anyway, after that, from 1955, tomorrow, we're moving into, well, we're actually still in the 1950s, but it's the late 1950s. And we're taking a look at a classic B-movie from perhaps the most famous or infamous B-movie schlockmeister of the 1950s. Many people, including myself, consider it his magnum opus. And if you haven't seen it before, you probably should, because it's actually way, way better than I probably had any right to be. But no spoilers there. We'll get to that when we get to it. We'll continue 31 Days of Horror tomorrow, and just hang in there. We're churning through it, and we got more good stuff coming up. But yeah, again, if you haven't seen Night of the Hunter, you need to see The Night of the Hunter. This movie is just superb.